So Nerf Ultimate Championship released a few hours ago, and I hopped in to give it a go on my old trusty data-hungry toaster, the Quest 2, and well, it was kind of bad. So I'm going to start this off with a little disclaimer. Yes, this game just released, so there's going to be issues, there's going to be bugs. And two, I'm based in the UK, so I can imagine that I'm likely getting matched up with players from the States. However, this doesn't change my first impressions of the game. So let's start this off on a positive note. This game has potential, huge potential in fact. I really like the movement system they have, it's really fluid and it works really nicely, and I felt that it felt quite natural running around, jumping around and wall running. I'm also really fond of the sound design of the Nerf blasters. They sound super cool and relatively realistic. I also like the electrical wind up and discharge that you hear on the automatic blasters. It adds this really nice little immersion piece that I really appreciated. I also really like the dart physics. They don't fly dead straight and have quite a large spread, which is to be expected of what is effectively a chunk of foam with a plastic tip being shot out of a 2-inch smoothbore barrel. I also really like the fact that the darts bounce off of walls and ricochet. It was just really nice and made me smile. But that was it for me. The art style I can't really comment on because I just find it very uninspired. The little hub lobby that you have is quite nice, I guess. It's got like a little shooting range, a combat arena bit where you can practice shooting against other players, and a parkour area where you can practice the movement. But, you know, it was quite uninspired and there wasn't really much happening there. But now I'm going to get into the bits that I really didn't like. The audio loved to drop out.
If it gets in this game, it'll be ruined.
You're complaining a lot. If you're complaining this much, you just need to uninstall the game.
And the audio is coming in. I assume this is a relatively easy bug to fix, but it drove me up the wall. This is supposed to be a competitive team shooter, and having the audio totally disappear by your own footsteps and jumping is just not good enough. It makes it impossible to really pinpoint enemy players, and the total drop of voice comms just makes it impossible to really achieve anything. My next pain point was the frames. Oh my god, the frames. The frame rate on this game just fluctuates so much. I feel fairly confident that the frame rate at its most stable was below 72 frames per second, and it felt like it dropped to less than 30, and these frame drops were so consistent and lasted for such a long period of time that actually led me to becoming very motion sick, and I had to pay a visit to my local throne room. Yes, Nerf Ultimate Championship made me chunder.
Oh my god, what is these frames?
If there was one thing that I cannot accept, even on a release for a competitive shooter, is for the frame rate to be unstable, not smooth, on what it's effectively been designed to play on. This is, once again, supposed to be competitive. This is supposed to be fast-paced, and you can't have the frames dropping on effectively the platform that the game was designed to be played on. It's just unacceptable. My final major pain point was the networking. The game just feels janky. Player avatars are just not smooth in their movements, and it felt more like they were trying to do a PowerPoint presentation in their animations. As I said earlier, this could just be due to my location, but there isn't a way for me to be able to choose my preferred server location, or if there is, it wasn't very obvious where it was. So I couldn't tell if it was me or the game that was the problem. I spent the entire time with a network connection issue warning at the bottom right of my screen, which was just there at all times. It feels like there needs to be an ability for players to be able to switch their preferred server location, or at least for the game to tell you where you're connecting to. I did hop into a couple of games at around 9 PM my time, and I had the exact same issue, and I was playing with players in my region, you know, by their accents. So it could just be the fact that the servers were inundated with new players. The game just feels unfinished to me, almost like they hit that crunch time and just rushed it out the door. This is fine with most games, especially if they're single player. However, this is trying to peg itself as being competitive, and that effectively means that it's trying to be an esport, and it just can't be that in its current state. It frustrates me to see such a big name franchise such as Nerf end up with a product that's effectively dead on arrival. It's just too uncomfortable with the frame drops, too janky with the animations, impossible to play with the audio drops, and frankly unplayable when you get all three together. I know that VR games are incredibly difficult to develop, and the networking side of it throws up more problems than with conventional pancake games. But when you've got a big name like Nerf, with an actual game studio behind them developing their competitive shooter, and it has less polish and attention to detail than what you get with some single developer studios, you've got a problem. When you consider how small the VR gamer population is in comparison to pancake games, you need to make sure that you have a watertight product, otherwise it's just gonna flop hard. To me, for now, the game just isn't worth the purchase. Even at its low price of, 10 Queenie coins or 11 Freedom Bucks, just wait until the first round of updates come out and get things polished up. As you should do with most games, to be fair, as it seems to be a bit of a running trend in the industry these days. Anyway, that's it for me.